What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. Break down what's happening with the overall market this far, and talk about something very important coming out over the weekend that could affect how the market ends up moving. I'm also going to talk about what the chart is suggesting for Tesla and how it could end up moving as time goes on. But let me first say that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. Deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 of them. And the offer ends very soon in just 2 weeks. Anyways, for Tesla, we're in a very, very interesting trend. Tesla's getting tighter and tighter and tighter right now, and a big move should be coming. But whether or not we get a big pop or not could also depend on what happens over the weekend. So I want to break down something very important about that before I break down the chart. So, as you guys have probably already heard, there's a lot of stuff going on in Israel right now. There is a risk of them getting attacked by Iran. And it's very, very horrendous to hear this. I mean, none of us want to hear about innocent lives getting killed, innocent people losing their lives over politics, over all these tensions. It's very, very sad to hear that for these children, these women, these men, and etc. It's very, very sad. Now, right now, Israel is expecting, at least according to reports, they're expecting an attack over the weekend. If that happens, it's going to have a big effect on the markets. It's going to have a big effect on so many different people's lives, and the list goes on. My heart goes out to all these other people out there. So I want to see how things end up going for them. And I really want the best for as many people as possible. I don't want to hear, news about anyone passing away because of these conflicts, but it ends up happening. So we'll have to see how things go. But with that being said, with the Iranian supreme leader saying that Israel should be punished and will be punished, and these tensions rising, even China getting involved, we're seeing a lot of different things kind of affecting how we end up moving. And we're seeing all these different things from different parts of the world kind of getting involved. So, one of the ways it's going to affect the markets, however, is it's going to have a big effect on crude oil. Many analysts are saying that crude oil could be going all the way up to about $100 a barrel if we end up getting an attack. And that's very, very important. So, this chart right here shows you the correlation between CPI and crude futures. Currently, crude has reached almost $86 a barrel. CPI was also going up a little bit as well. And we'll have to see if this ends up continuing. So, how is this looking? As you guys could see, at least historically, since the early 2000s, crude, which is the red line, and then CPI, which is the blue line, have been going up together very similarly. They came down, went up, went sideways, went down a little bit, up, down, together. And as of recently, crude has started to increase again. Oil prices have been going up again. And that's no coincidence that CPI has also been a little bit hot for the last two reports, especially the latest one. It was quite hotter than expected on every single end. That's why SPY started tanking on the day of CPI. So that is a signal that, yes, CPI is going to be impacted heavily by our crude futures. And with that being said, many analysts are projecting that if Iran ends up attacking Israel, the price of a barrel of oil could go up to over $100. Okay. And we haven't seen that in years. We haven't seen it go that high in many years at this point, or over a year and a half at this point. So if it starts going up again, this is going to cause different sectors to get inflated. It's going to cause energy is going to increase in general, transportation costs go up, and all these other factors that affect CPI go up. Inflation is going to start going up, prices of goods will start going up again if we start to see that, and that's going to be a little bit bad for what the Fed is trying to do. And if that happens, if Iran ends up doing that attack and, the price of a barrel of oil goes up, the Fed is going to be in a very critical position. There's a 98.3% chance the Fed is going to be keeping rates the same, at least for May. For June, there's a 72.3% chance they're going to keep rates the same as well. And then for July, looking at the month of July, there is about a 43% chance they're going to keep rates the same and a 45% chance they're going to end up giving us a cut, according to what the market is pricing in. But if we see inflation starting to go up, if it starts stalling, what could happen is for May, June, July, September, the Fed may have to keep rates the same. I mean, they keep rates higher for longer, and then they may not cut until towards the end of the year, if not by next year. So with that being said, if the Fed has to keep rates higher for longer, that's going to be a little bearish for the markets because when you keep these rates up, it leads to contraction of our economy. The longer you keep them up high, it's going to lead to more contraction. It's going to affect the labor market and all these different factors. So the best thing to do is be very, very patient and see how things end up going, and we'll see how it goes from there. With that being said, let's be very, very patient and see what happens from here. I'll be talking more about this maybe a little bit later on. Let's now talk about some data for next week, some news about Tesla, and also the charts. So next week is going to be kind of quiet in terms of direct data for the markets. We have Logan giving a speech. We have some manufacturing numbers, business inventories, and very minor data for Monday. Tuesday is also kind of minor. We just have manufacturing production and stuff like that. Wednesday is just we just have like the Fed beige book and just a few things, very minor stuff. Thursday we have bill auctions and just a few things like new orders, home sales. Like it's all very, very minor data from what I'm looking at. There's no crazy day. We do have initial jobless claims on Thursday, so it's a little bit more significant. Then for Friday, it's just a bunch of Fed speakers and nothing else. So most of the week is kind of quiet in terms of data, except for like Thursday. So we're going to start off on a very, very quiet end for data. There's not anything too insane coming out, at least for the first couple of days of the week next week in terms of economic data. But for earnings, things are shifting. So on Monday, we have Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, and just a couple of more banks announcing earnings. And this is very important because these are big banks. Tuesday has Bank of America, Johnson Johnson, and Morgan Stanley. More big bank earnings on Tuesday, which is going to affect the markets. Then Wednesday and Thursday are kind of quieter. We just have like ASML. Uh, we just have a couple of others out there like US Bancorp. Then we have like Discover. But for Thursday, we have TSMC, which could affect us to some extent, maybe not too much. And then Netflix could affect tech to some extent on Thursday. And then for Friday, it's all very minor. And then next week, we have like Tesla and a few others announcing earnings. So that's going to be very interesting. As far as Tesla goes, Tesla has dropped the FSD price to $99 a month for the US, incentivizing more sales, trying to get demand back up. It used to be $199 per month. Now it is $99. So that's a big change right here. This is something Elon Musk was tweeting about. I'll talk more about Elon Musk's tweets again tomorrow. He's been saying a lot of things. That's all I'm seeing, at least for Tesla. So what do I see for the chart right now? Well, we're very indecisive, right? Tesla has been in this range for the last couple of days. 175 is our key resistance zone, and 170.5, or very close to this range, has been our support. We'll be watching to see what ends up happening. I think that whatever happens in Iran is going to affect, or whatever happens in Israel, if we get an attack or not, will affect Tesla. So that's the main thing to watch for during the weekend. If there's an attack, we could see Tesla come all the way down to like 170 or so, or even below that, and start sinking. If we end up getting no attack, Tesla looks like it's going to try to retest 174 and rebound a bit. Otherwise, it's very choppy and kind of range bound. So for now, I think just give it a little bit more time and see what it does. And we'll see if there is some kind of attack. For SPY, we're on a downtrend overall. Are we about to pop a bit and then drop lower, or kind of drop from here? It depends on if we get an attack or not. If there's no attack, we could see SPY come back up to 515, then trade sideways for some time and maybe drop a little bit later on as the trend is bearish. If we don't get an attack, there is potential for a bounce. If we get the attack, we could drop a little lower. I wouldn't be surprised if we go down to like 507, 505 and then try to rebound from there. So it could be another drop depending on what we get over the weekend. The QQQ, if there isn't another attack, we could come all the way down to about 434, if not 432. If there isn't an attack, we could be trying to rebound a bit and then maybe drop lower again because the chart is still kind of like bearish overall. It's been on a slight downtrend, so it could still come back down anyways. Okay, it could still continue to sink into the future. There might just be a small rebound if there's no attack, at least in the beginning, before we may continue lower after that. For Apple, we're bullish. We're on a very, very nice uptrend. We're making higher highs and higher lows, continuing to push higher and higher. And there's potential for this to go even higher to about 178 again, because we're getting some bullish news and there's a lot of hype right now for it. So with the news that came out, it's still showing strength despite what we saw around the world. And right now, if Apple maintains this strength, I could see this thing try to push a little higher. The chart is still bullish nonetheless. For a few more, we have Supermicro, barely holding 890, looks a little bearish. We could see 882 or 880 coming very soon. If we rebound a bit, we could pop and then drop, or kind of drop from here, so we'll see. For Coinbase is also kind of down right now. We could retest 250 and then continue to sink if we get an attack. I mean, we could just sink all the way back down to 236 again if there is one. If there's no attack, we could be coming back down to 252 first before anything. So I'll be watching for all of that very, very carefully. For Amazon, we're going to likely retest 187. If there's an attack, we could reject and come down to 183. If there's no attack, could try to hold up, try to get a little rebound. Market will try to get bought up a lot more if that ends up happening, so be prepared for that. The chart does look like it's going to rebound a little bit. Meta is looking kind of bearish, though. We're below our 200 EMA. There's a risk of it coming all the way down to 505, in my opinion. If we lose that, look for a bigger dip. If we rebound a bit, we could test the 200 EMA and then reject. So we'll see how it goes. With that being said, let's try to be very, very open-minded. Let's try to see how all of this ends up continuing, and we'll do what's best for our own portfolios moving forward. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. Tesla looks from a technical standpoint like it's trying to reaccumulate and try to push back up. But it also depends on what news we get over the weekend. So I'm just going to be a little bit patient for now and kind of like step away and just give this a little bit more time. All right. So have a great day, guys. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. Take care. Tesla in the market to the moon because the long term is still very bright, despite what we're seeing. And peace out.